I lost my first ever fight. A lot of people don't know that. What drove me on was the fear of losing. No other fight was as hard as that fight. I really had to dig deep that night. You're gonna have to pin me down to beat me. You ain't just gonna walk in this ring and win. It's not gonna happen. As soon as I laughed, he took a step back. As if he was couldn't believe I answered him back. I want to be one of them very few fighters that retires at the top with a 0. To be able with the best and not lose. You can't put a price on that.
I'm here in Newbridge to meet its greatest son. With the help of his dad, he probably became the best British boxer of all time. Well, apparently, the gym is down this way. It used to be Abercarn Rugby Football Club. So, hang on, there's something here. I have to say, not the flashy gym I expected, but spit and sawdust. The Joe Calzaghe gym. Let's go and have a look who's here. Up, here he is, man. Hey, Joe, make him boy. Good to see you. Good. Looking well, boy. Okay? Yeah, looking well. Good. Looking well. Hey.
That's great.
It's shiny, isn't it? It's amazing.
It is.
It's fantastic.
I've all these pictures up on the wall, and over the years, it's great to look back at some.
It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible, isn't it? Eubank fight. The bridge, both of you on the Newbridge, in Newbridge.
Bridge, yeah, so everybody gets to walk over me every single day.
I don't think so. I don't think the only way.
Luckily for me, there was a boxing gym in Newbridge, old blue shed, and I went there. I still remember the first day I walked in, and the smell of the gym, and just seeing these bags getting hit, and just like a little tiny 9-year-old, I was like, wow. I was nervous as well, and still remember putting gloves on, and the old trainer at the time, Paul Williams, said, no, do a double jab left, and I done it automatically. And he said to my dad, he's boxed before, but my dad's taught me how to box from like the age of 8 before I went to the boxing gym. Being brought up in the South Wales Valleys, was pretty a blessing to be a boxer and do a hard sport like boxing. At the age of 9, it was very tough. Brought up in the 70s, we brought up on the council estate, not much money. Didn't really like school, and boxing was my way out, to be honest. So yeah, it was difficult. If you look around you, all the hills and the mountains, people used to say, why don't you go to training camp? Because this is my training camp. The only things we had to get in was sparring partners. But from the age of 10, 11, I'd run the same runs that I run till the end of my career.
Your mental toughness, everyone's got a certain degree of mental toughness, but for you, I think it stood out in your younger days, but also later on in your, in your big fights as well.
What it is, I lost my first ever fight. A lot of people don't know that, right?
I didn't want to mention it. Actually.
Yeah, I lost it's Chris Starker's name. I lost my first ever fight, and as a 10-year-old, I remember crying my eyes out in the ring. I got robbed, by the way, because his father, his dad was also the judge, and I have to add, I beat him 6 times afterwards. Anyway.
All right, okay.
So I lost my first fight, and I remember every single loss I had. Last loss was the European Junior Championships, where I got robbed as well, as a 17-year-old on points, and I remember every single loss. So what drove me on was the fear of losing. Never a fear of opponent. I loved winning. It was my escapism. I didn't have a good time in school, and I thought myself when I was in this ring, when I was in this dangerous place in the ring, that was me.
I think the first big fight, and everyone, maybe non-boxing fans, gosh, it's Calzaghe versus Eubank. We've all been waiting for this.
Yeah, it was a massive fight, and like I said, I was quite apprehensive because he had 21 world title fights. I had just had 21 fights. I knocked everybody out in the first few rounds. I went 8 rounds once, and I boxed in Chris Eubank, and I loved watching him on TV. And in the fight, it was the best ever thing that happened, I think, was to go 12 rounds with Chris Eubank, because I dropped him in the first round.
Was that the best punch you ever thrown?
It must have been one of them, because nobody puts Chris Eubank flat in his ass the way I did. So he goes flying across the ring, and I'm looking at my dad thinking, this is going to be an easy night.
I know.
And he gave me 12 torrid rounds. I mean, I was spent after 6 or 7 rounds.
Hardest fight ever, maybe?
He was my hardest fight. He's not my best opponent. It's just because that was my first time, 12 rounds, with the pressure, knowing I had to win, and everything was on that night against, a tough guy like Chris Eubank, who's been here, done it. Been 12 rounds so many occasions. You know, it was proud for me, but it was hard. And no other fight was as hard as that fight. No. I really, really had to dig deep that night.
Some great fights, some great names. You got the boxing gloves, fantastic photographic memorabilia, and Condor, I've seen the belts, Joe. Just a few of them, is it?
Yeah,
come on, show me these.
Over.
I know you got so many of them. Why are these so special? I think is that. I can see the names on them. Hopkins.
Fight with Kessler.
Mohammed. And Joe. WBC. And then now and then that's Hall of Famer. That's
basically
special club, isn't it?
Well, this is the Hall of Fame ring right there. Look at that. There he is. I never really wear this, to be honest, but I put it on for today.
I know. Nice.
Which was special, being inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2014, along with Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad, two greats.
Amazing.
So it was amazing
great boxers.
For myself and my family.
What's it like, you know?
They're pretty heavy, you know.
So. Right? People can't imagine the adrenaline in a fight pre-match in a corner, but the euphoria of actually holding that up and then going.
It's amazing, yeah. It's just great. When you got 4 of them to put on, they're pretty heavy. So after 12-hour rounds against Kessler at the Millennium, to put 4 or 5 belts on, you know, with the euphoria, like you said, and the adrenaline still kicking in, you don't feel anything. The next day you feel it, though.
I can imagine,
you feel aches and pains, you can imagine yourself, mate. Yeah.
But what, you know, is there any one of these more special than the other ones, or?
It's difficult to say. I'd say maybe a Lacy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why, because, you know, I felt I was never getting the respect I deserved. The Americans wrote me off. I was the underdog. Yeah. Everybody said I was going to get knocked out. The bookie said I was going to get knocked out. And to go in that ring, and with my father as well, I was injured and nearly pulled out. Thankfully, Dad, you know, said, you know, we could do it even with one hand. So I went into that fight and fought the best I could ever fight.
What's it like when you stand there for a big fight, 1 against 1?
All I could see when I walk out to the ring, I see the lights, and I look at the opponent. I don't take my eyes off the opponent from the moment I walk into the ring to the moment I step in that ring. I look at the opponent and I never take my eyes off him. I'm just zoned in on the guy. That's and amazing. What I need to do and what I worked hard to do and put into action. What
are you looking for, you know, when you stand him out?
Weakness. I think you can say what you want to say, but at the end of the day, eyes don't lie. When you stand really close to somebody, they can say what they want to say before they get into that ring, but when you stand there, I will look for weakness. And sometimes you can see the weakness. And I want them to see my strength. I want them to know that you have to pin me down to beat me. You ain't just going to walk in this ring and win. It's not going to happen.
Maybe the biggest pressure fight you had was, you know, taking Kessler to Cardiff in front of, you know, 50-odd thousand people. What was that like? What was that feeling like? You know, because Wales is special to you. Everyone kind of came to support you. They went to support you, you know, all over the world. But that must have been the fight.
Yeah, do you know what? Kessler, obviously, my last fight in Britain, and what a way to finish off, you know, to fight the other best super middleweight and unify all the belts, like in front of 50,000 of your home fans in a beautiful stadium like Millennium. After all the hard work and the years of struggles and injuries, it's just beautiful. So I try not to think about if I lose, I'll never be able to show my face in Cardiff again, which did cross your mind, so just get that one out of your mind. I knew I was in for a tough fight, and I would say Mikko Kessler was probably the best fighter I boxed. He was at his peak, undefeated in 39 fights, and he could hit hard.
Because you changed tactics in that fight.
I needed to change tactics in that fight because I'm a very aggressive southpaw, so I come forward, and he was counter-punching me as a southpaw. I'm normally the box counter-puncher, and he caught me some good uppercuts in the 4th, and they stung. So I come out for the 5th round. I started to use my boxing skills, adapted, and that's where I pulled away with the fight.
Winning the Sports Personality of the Year, you know, that must have been a real proud moment.
Yeah, that's right. It's massive. I think it was 2 weeks after the Kessler fight. You know, to be recognised as Sports Personality of the Year, which is great. I think first Welshman in about 30 years to win that, and that's just the ultimate. Really. Also, my dad got Trainer of the Year the same year, which was amazing. So I knew that he was going to get the Trainer of the Year, but I was shocked when they said I won. So yeah, very, very proud moment. I think it just goes to show, you know, all the belief I had in myself finally got recognised at the end.
When you were in Vegas, you picked a fight with Hopkins as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. I'm not going to go from Kessler, fight another champion. I want to fight the best, which was Hopkins. And I wanted to fight in America. I think it's important for me to show the Americans that, listen, I'm not just stay-at-home guy that fights in Wales and England. I'll come out to America and fight. So got a cheap seat for the fight with, was it Hatton and Mayweather, with a few mates, and went to the press room, and that's where Hopkins zoned into me and made that statement.
I would never let a white boy beat me.
And as soon as he said it, I was like, well, brilliant, that's the best thing ever. I rang the promoter straight away. He was going all carnage in the press hall, and the fight was made, you know, and he was trying to intimidate me and so on. And I remember the weigh-ins, you know, he's looking at me, I've done a head-to-head, he's like, I'm gonna bust them up. Look at my ribs, he went, hey man, you're older than me, I'm gonna bust the hell out of them up. And I laughed, and when, as soon as I laughed, he like took a step back. As if he was like, couldn't believe I answered him back, and actually was really confident. And he walked away. The thing is, nobody can look good against Bernard Hopkins. No, he knows how to nullify what you have, and he did. He did a good job. And me getting put on the floor, flash knockdown in the first round, I was chasing the fight. And I think it was after 6 rounds, because I was throwing a lot more punches, he was holding, feigning low blows, and I think that swayed the decision in my favor. But yes, it was nerve-wracking at the end of the fight, you know, when they said split decision. And, you know, from Newbridge, Joe. Michael Buffer, I tell you what, it was one of the most proudest moments of my life, you know, it was beautiful.
Calzaghe!
And of course, the last fight, that's kind of a dream come true, isn't it? Madison Square Garden against, you know, another Hall of Famer, Roy Jones Jr. What was that whole experience like, you know, for you?
Well, I'll be honest with you. After the fight with Kessler, I knew I was going to retire. I was injured all the time. My hands, my back, everything was hurting, and I made good money. So I thought to myself, you know what? I want to be one of them very, very few fighters that retires at the top with a zero.
That's important, isn't it? That zero is huge, motivating factor.
It's massive. You can give me 100 million, take that zero away, it doesn't mean anything to me. My legacy, to be up there with Rocky Marciano, to be up there with the best and not lose. You can't put a price on that, to me. And legacy was always the most important thing to me. So when I beat Kessler, I achieved everything I wanted to achieve. In my own national stadium, in front of my own fans, was always my dream. And to beat the best, so I had nothing left to prove. So there was one thing I wanted to do, and it's always a dream of mine to fight, like in Madison Square Garden, the Mecca of boxing, you know, fight, and the ring legend in Roy Jones Jr. And I knew way before that fight, that was the end. So I'm thinking to myself, there's a guy from where I come from, Newbridge, you know, always been written off, always been injured, so I'm never going to go nowhere. In school, and I'm in Madison Square Garden. I'm going to enjoy my last fight in Madison Square Garden against one of the best fighters, Roy Jones Jr. I'm going to drop my ass, I'm going to shake my ass, I'm going to drop my hands, I'm going to do what I want to do. And I was saying, Joe, this is the last round of your whole life. So after that bell rang, I knew that was it for me. I knew no matter what lure of money would come, that was it, because I lost the spark. I achieved everything I wanted to achieve in boxing, and to have fought again would go against everything that I ever stood for.
People don't really realise being a professional sportsman is a privileged existence, but when you finish, it's back to the real world. So how have you coped with, you know, with after boxing?
It's difficult, of course. You know, you retire at 37 and somebody will say, like, well, do something else you love, but all you've ever done since you're 8 is fight, you know? So, yeah, you miss, you know, the regime of it, getting up in the morning, you know, what you have to do every day. There's a lot of boredom set in, you know, you miss the euphoria, the buzz, the adrenaline of the crowd, you know, so it's hard, but then, you know, it goes away. I still train in boxing. I hit the bag sometimes. You know, my boys do a little bit of boxing, you know. It's hard sometimes, but at the moment I'm happy. I'm back home in Wales. You know, I got a few businesses I run. I'm still interested in the boxing, charity work, and Life is good.
That's the main thing, is keeping yourself occupied. That is the main thing, because you're out of the routine and the regime and the discipline, so it's it's tougher than what people.
But there's two things I don't miss about boxing: is losing all that weight and getting punched in the head. But except for that, I'm all right.
So you mentioned, I think it was the Kessler. Which fight you had to lose?
The Kessler fight was the most.
3 stone in 12 weeks.
Just under 15, I had to come to 12 stone in 12 weeks, and I had no dietitian like you have today. It was old school, sweatsuits, starving myself, and eating hardly anything week of the fight, and being so dehydrated and emaciated. Honestly, it's the worst and hardest.
So how much weight would you put on then, from the weigh-in to the actual fight?
From the weigh-in to the fight, just under a stone, about a stone.
I know, that's a day.
Yeah, I put on about 8 pounds in an hour. That's just fluid loss. I'd weigh in at 12 stone. Within the 2-3 hours, I'd be like 12 stone 8. That's just because it's just water loss and dehydration, which was painful.
Yeah,
so the fighting was the easy bit.
You said, it was all about keeping that zero and leaving a legacy. How would you like Joe Calzaghe to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered, just by being a great champion. Always wanted to give 100% for my fans. Always wanted to entertain. When I fought, some fights weren't the best, but I always tried to force fights, always tried to entertain, and just give my best.
That's all you need, 46. I know. That's all you have to remember, mate.
Thank you.
Legacy's there.
Thank you, man.
Pleasure, legend.
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
You're a legend. Thanks, mate.